Oh, this is gonna be crazy. Whoa, whoa, that was great.
Alright, hello everyone and welcome today to another episode of SpraynPray1000's Verdict. I am SpraynPray1000 and today we are going to be talking about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, the latest in a long-running line of Call of Duty games, this time being developed by Sledgehammer Games, the team that co-developed Modern Warfare 3 alongside Infinity Ward. This time they have the full reins behind this game. You know, this is their first real outing, and today we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what makes Call of Duty Advanced Warfare a game. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Does it do anything better? So first things first, I will start off, and I will start off by talking about the campaign of the game. The campaign of the game it throws the player into a much more futuristic world than Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 took place in, I believe, 2025 to 2026, with some missions that took place in the 1970s and 80s, I believe. You have to forgive me, this was like 2 years ago. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare takes place in the 2050s. So we're talking even further into the future than Black Ops. So the technology is much, much different. You have fully autonomous drones, you have cloaking technology, you have a whole bunch of stuff some of it's in Black Ops 2, but a lot of it is really new to this game. You have rail guns, you have a whole bunch of different stuff being used. So there's the general feel of the game is much more futuristic and on a much different tone than Black Ops. So you play for the campaign. You play as what's his name? You play as Jack Mitchell or John Mitchell. I think it's Jack Mitchell, who is initially part of the United States Marine Corps, and eventually, due to certain events, he is discharged from the military, and he then begins to work for a company called Atlas, which is beginning to make moves around the world to make it a better place and secure its successful future. And Atlas is run by Kevin Spacey, in the universe he's called Jonathan Irons, but he's played by real-world actor Kevin Spacey. I believe they modeled his likeness and everything after him, so that was a pretty big acquisition for him. He's known for House of Cards, which is a Netflix show. I believe it's Netflix exclusive, I don't know. But you play as Jack Mitchell as he travels throughout the world working for this company called Atlas. And what I will say about the storyline is for the first half of it, I really, really liked what they were doing with it. I really, really liked where they were going with it. Unfortunately, it seems like with every Call of Duty campaign, they really show off some of the best features of the campaign in trailers and stuff like that. But then they really don't show it. They drop some of it, I guess, during development from between the months of May and November, which is when they reveal the game and when they release it. Because I could say the same thing happened really with Black Ops 2's campaign, but that's for another time and another day. The problem with Ghost campaign is that from the trailers and from what I saw prior to playing the game really, really looked different. It really looked like it had a much more developed plot. And for the first half of the game, I'll really say the plot was interesting. It was great, following Atlas, seeing, how they're dismantling this terrorist threat that's attacking the world. And around halfway, the game kind of takes a very predictable plot twist. The game kind of takes, the generic, this guy's a bad guy, and now you got to take him down. And it would have been really interesting to see, a storyline based more around ideologies, based more around, what this guy is, what Irons has been talking about, in the trailers and everything. In fact, a lot of the stuff that was really interesting about the campaign from the trailers is not in the game. So, unfortunately, the campaign, in my opinion, came off really at the start very interesting, very different, very intriguing, and then gradually, well, not gradually, but like at the halfway point, that was it. They were done with that. You know, they just went with the safe route to end the campaign that they knew would get them out, you know, the necessary 6 or so levels to fill out the remainder of a campaign. And I was a little disappointed that the campaign ended, you know, that the second half of it was such a bland, generic note. What I will say though is I do like how they added a lot of different things to the campaign. Like as I've been saying for a while, Call of Duty has really been changing things up in the campaign realm. I know a lot of people are going to probably flip shit to the first part of that statement because they've added a lot of things, you know, in these last couple of CODs that they did not have in previous Call of Duties. So, for example, they have a lot of quick time events in this game. Well, not a lot, but they've added quick time events. You know, they've added a lot of different things. It really feels like Sledgehammer has taken a lot of their experience with Modern Warfare 3, put it into this game, and then added a couple more things. Now, it's not a lot. It's not revolutionary. It's not going to change the face of gaming, but it is nice to see that a franchise this old is able to add a couple new things here or there, maybe mix it up a little bit. And I did like that about this game. So, the campaign was alright, but what I will say about this game is the campaign runs at a smooth, amazing 60 FPS, or I believe it's 60 FPS. It's definitely above 30. It's definitely better than 30. And it really helps with the presentation of the game, I feel. The fact that the game runs that fast and that crisp really helps with delivering the story. It's just a shame that, you know, the deliverance of the story is not that good. So, the second half of the game really doesn't get too much of a good score for me because it's generic, it's predictable, it's boring. But it is better than Ghosts, in my opinion. I do believe that this campaign is better than Ghosts. I feel that the key pieces that they use in this campaign to really illustrate the story are much better executed than Ghost. Ghost really felt like they kind of just did wishy-washy and kind of, it was like soulless, you know? It was like there was no real backbone to the campaign. So yeah, I will say that. But but for the most part, the missions are, you know, your same old generic cookie cutter missions with a couple of new things mixed in here or there. I do like, however, that they did not go back to like the old style of Call of Duty gameplay, which was, you know, have a lot of bland, generic missions that are all just running and gunning from point A to point B, which were really, really common in, like, COD 4 through, I want to say, somewhat Black Ops. I think Black Ops was, like, the turning point where they started to get rid of that, but there were some missions in Black Ops where they did do that. But it is good to see that they are kind of, you know, getting rid of a lot of those generic missions where you would have like 5 missions in the campaign where nothing would really happen story-wise. It's just kind of running, gunning from point A to point B. You know, and it is nice. What I will say is there is one mission in this game I really, really liked. It was the stealth mission. The stealth mission they have in the beginning of the second half of the game, which is like really, really, really well done in my opinion. I really like the fact that they went out of their way to kind of implement a mission that can be done in at least more than 1 or 2 ways. And just having a stealth mission is really, really interesting. And the way that the different things that you can do in it are pretty cool. So I like that mission a lot. Out of all the missions in the game, I think that's my favorite. There are a couple other missions here or there, but for the most part, that's the one I really like. Now, the campaign is good. I'll give it like an okay rating. You know, nothing spectacular, nothing amazing, but it's good for what it is. Now, the multiplayer, unfortunately, I have to say, the biggest problem with it right now is the fact that it does not have a stable connection. So you will enter a game and everyone will have one bar and they will be fluctuating, which is the worst part. It's not like everyone has a steady one bar. Everyone will have one bar and it will fluctuate. So at some points, some people will get, you know, more than one bar. At some points, you know, you might have 4, and then in the same match, you know, 30 seconds later, you'll go down to 1. And from playing the game, I can tell you that that's really, really disconcerting. It's really, really annoying when 1 second you'll be having great connection, and then the next second, you know, something you do will happen, and then it'll just be like, oh, no, it didn't. Here's what actually happened. And you'll look at the kill cam, and you just stood there like an idiot because whatever you did to save yourself didn't come out. And that's annoying. And that, in my opinion, at this point, Call of Duty is probably one of the biggest video game franchises out there. Now, Ghosts was a disappointment, I know, but let's be honest here. Call of Duty has sold enough capital and sold enough copies that at this point they could pay for dedicated servers. They really could. And it's not like they'd have to pay for dedicated servers for like 5 or 10 years. Like, to be honest, each Call of Duty only lives for about 1 year. So, forgive me, I gotta drink every now and then because I just woke up. And my throat's a little dry. Wake up blues. But each Call of Duty game only lasts for a year. Now, this is Activision's love child, okay? This is basically their one major franchise that they throw out on a yearly basis. They've been throwing it out, I believe, since like 2007. I don't know when COD 3 came out. But they've been throwing it out on a yearly basis. At this point, they can afford dedicated servers. Like, if Battlefield can do it, Call of Duty most certainly can. There is really, like, no excuse in my mind that they cannot. And they know people are going to run out and buy it because it's Call of Duty. They know they're going to make a killing on it. They know that every Call of Duty is going to reap in massive profits. So for them to not really have dedicated servers... First of all, for them to go from not having this as a problem in previous Call of Duty games to having it as a problem is pretty pathetic. It's pretty sad. I think that there's not a lot of research and not a lot of coding being done towards that, which is a little annoying. Now, again, if this was like some small franchise or some I don't want to say indie, but some not AAA title, maybe I would be a little more lenient with this. I would say, okay, well, I can understand because X, Y, and Z, they don't make a lot of money. But this is Call of Duty. We know Call of Duty every year is going to make millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars, just from ad revenue, advertising, selling the game, everything, the works. They're going to make billions of dollars off of it. So, in my opinion, they really need dedicated servers for this game. Gears of War 3 had them for a little bit. And then you had to buy the DLC to keep them, which I thought was pretty annoying, but whatever. Battlefield has them. All these games are getting dedicated servers. Like, it's not acceptable, in my opinion. And that it really kind of kills the game. And that's the biggest problem I have with the multiplayer right now. Now, I do think that the kill streak system is a little bit annoying. It's a little bit imbalanced, I feel. But that's not nearly as big of a problem. I think the weapons, for the most part, really, some of them feel pretty useless. I think that, in previous Call of Duty games, the whole point of having multiple weapons and, various builds was that you can complement your builds. So, like, okay, for this one, I'm gonna be a running clash. My whole job is to really run into people's faces and, hose them down and get across the map fast. So for this, I'm going to take a machine gun that has a good fire rate, good mobility, decent damage, the works. Or maybe, you'll feel like, okay, for this class, I'm going to be, more of a generic assault rifler. I'm going to take an assault rifle, I'm going to try and have a little bit of everything. And, you know what I mean? Like, you have guns to complement each one. So maybe for that class, you won't focus so much on rate of fire. You'll focus more on a gun that has little to no recoil and heavy damage. Well, in Advanced Warfare, because it's the 2050s into the 2060s, I believe, the campaign takes place. It's like a 5-year period or something. The thing about the game is that all the guns basically have little to no recoil. Like, essentially all the guns fire and have almost no recoil for the second shot following immediately thereafter. So recoil really isn't too much of a problem anymore, unless you're like at unless in certain circumstances, But recoil for the most part doesn't really mean too much anymore. Now, the other things about guns is that you'll have guns that'll be like really, really good, really, really high damage. Then you'll have guns that kind of focus on other things that are not as secondary. And they're not as good, in my opinion. I feel that a lot of guns really kind of got the shaft. And that's a little bit annoying. But, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what else to tell you. So, that was a little disappointing, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to feel too bad about it. But, does it horribly rend the game as much as the no dedicated servers? Not really. I do like the maps. I do like the fact that now they have exos, which are basically these exoskeletons that wrap around you. I do like that a lot. I think that really adds something to the game. I do really like the fact that The multiplayer has like dynamic maps, which I feel is something that they've been trying to add in Call of Duty. They've been looking to add it for a while now, and now they're really kind of finding ways to really implement it really well. So I do like some of the things that they've done. I don't like the grenade launcher, or should I say the arm grenade launcher. Basically, your frag grenades in this game are not like your typical frag grenades. They have to be launched from a launcher. You can throw them back once they're on the ground, but you can't really throw them yourself to begin with, I don't think, and that's a little annoying. And they also have exo abilities, so each exoskeleton you equip yourself with will have a specific ability if you choose to take one. And there's the wild card system, so you can take multiple perks, multiple weapons, multiple perks of the same tier. A lot of the classic Call of Duty perks are in here. So really, there's a lot of the good stuff. It's your typical COD game, remixing of the old with some new. This one, thankfully, I think is a lot better than Ghosts in a lot of aspects. But is it really worth it? And they did re-add the survival game mode, which I did play. I really liked survival in Modern Warfare 3. That was kind of like my guilty pleasure mode of the game when I wasn't playing multiplayer. I really liked survival a lot. It was really fun. You're trying to get to wave, I believe, 25 or 15 on all the maps. And just really seeing how long you can last. And they returned it in this game, and I like it still. It's your classical, you have your EXO, there's basically, you pick a map, on each map, you're basically assaulted by waves upon waves of enemies that will try to do everything in their power to kill you. And you have to survive as long as you can, hence the survival. And you can upgrade your EXO, you can upgrade your weapons, you can buy different weapons from various boxes, you can buy kill streaks with your points. And it's really fun. It's kind of like an arcadey style survival game. Like if you play Gears of War, it's kind of like your Horde mode. If you're a Left 4 Dead fan, it's kind of like, I believe, what was it called in Left 4 Dead? Survival maybe again? Something like that. I don't really remember. But yeah, if you're familiar with Left 4 Dead and stuff, this is your game mode. This is your time to shine. So I liked it a lot. Survival mode will get a thumbs up for me because I do like survival. It's a nice guilty pleasure mode to play. And it's exo survival, which means that you will have your exo suit on, and so will your enemies. And, yeah, it's quite interesting playing this Call of Duty game. The one thing I will say is the multiplayer could definitely be better. I feel that a lot of the weapons might be a bit overpowered, as I said, and a lot of the weapons might be, kind of just, I don't want to say garbage, but less useful and less helpful in a lot of scenarios, kind of like what a lot of the weapons in Modern Warfare 2 were like. So I will say that this Call of Duty game, it's good. It's redeemable for Ghosts, but not enough for the franchise. I feel they really, again, they kind of are killing COD a little bit too much now. Not necessarily because, they have yearly releases, but because I really think that they're trying to change things up too much, and they're losing sight of the basic formula that really made Call of Duty enjoyable in the first place. So, what will I give this game? Sledgehammer, I will say that for their first, standalone outing, I really thought that Modern Warfare 3 was really good. It's my favorite Call of Duty game. I really enjoyed the conclusion to the whole trilogy. What I will say is that this game, they worked about, I want to say, 55% of their magic on it. And while the remaining 45% isn't garbage, it's not, it's not to the same tier that I would say Modern Warfare 3 was. So I'm going to give this game an 81 out of 100. It's good, it's better than Ghosts, but there's a lot of other stuff that I feel that really could have been beefed up. You have your campaign that I feel could have been much better executed. I feel that there could have been a lot of changes to the campaign that would have really made it better. You have your multiplayer, which I feel has a lot of problems, especially with no dedicated servers, really kind of kills it right now, in my opinion. And the fact that they got rid of a lot of key game modes that were a lot of fun, like Demolition and Sabotage, really just, I just dislike that, and especially Team Defender. Is Team Defender in there? I don't know, so I won't take that into account because I don't remember. But the fact that there's no Demolition and there's no Sabotage is kind of disappointment, because those kind of games were really, really fun. Exo Survival is good, though. I did like Exo Survival, but and before I conclude this review, I know there is a Sabotage type game in it, but Sabotage really made itself fun because it's 20 minutes of like team deathmatch with a bomb type objective, and you know if no one scores by the end of it, then you have 10 minutes of search and destroy, I believe it is, like a 10-minute game of search. Those were the Modern Warfare 2 standards. They, now they might have changed it for Modern Warfare 3. I don't remember. But I do like, I feel that now that we have big open maps again, I would love to play some Sabotage on them. But Uplink or whatever it's called is really more like basketball. It's really more like, okay, I have the ball, now I throw the ball to my teammate. Or it's not a ball, it's a satellite uplink thing, but it's a sphere that you throw between your teammates. You try to pass and score, and it's really like a basketball mode in Call of Duty, which is very, very weird. And it doesn't have the same appeal as Sabotage, because once you get to the enemy team's goal, you instantly score. Whereas Sabotage, it's 45 seconds of bomb defense. You have to defend the bomb, and they have to defend their goal by defusing said bomb. And they also, I think, took out Headquarters. Headquarters is gone. That was another game mode I really liked in Modern Warfare 2 and COD 4. I really liked Headquarters a lot. That was actually the game mode. When I first played multiplayer for COD 4, one of the major things that I really felt gave it a leg up over Halo, in my opinion, was Headquarters. Headquarters was a really fun game mode, and now Headquarters is out of the rotation, I feel that there's too much emphasis towards making COD way fast-paced and way, more appealing, much quicker, more in and out, and then having, long, enjoyable games. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having quick, short games, but at the same time, they've completely removed the option and the possibility for having any kind of, like, long, meaningful game. And that's a little annoying, I feel. I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But regardless, 81 out of 100, Call of Duty Ghosts, not bad, not amazing, average, middle of the road. And that's going to conclude this review. I will see you guys next time. So thank you, and have a good day.